guys? Welcome to trèSci Weekly, episode 28. Today is Monday, August 14th, 2017. I'm one of your hosts, Jonathan Ullman, alongside No Larks, No 40s, Tom Kea.
What's up, man?
How we doing?
Doing good.
Glad
to be here.
Glad to be here with you. We're going to be talking a little bit about video Wagos today,
Also
Tom.
known as video games.
Video games. Yeah, so I wanted to give you a proper intro tagline for that one. Yeah, you're welcome. There's a lot to choose from, but throwing it way back.
Yeah, we've played a lot of video games in the past.
We sure have. What's going on, man? How are you?
Doing well. We let's see what's on the docket. So, what do we do on this program, John?
Your guess is as good as mine, man. I have no idea anymore. No, so we are 1 week out, Tom, from the big
solar eclipse.
The big sausage eclipse. Yep.
I won't be here next week.
Yeah, what are you leaving, by the way?
We're leaving on Saturday after our friend Sam's wedding.
Okay.
Because it's a morning wedding.
That's true.
Yeah, so then we're driving into Pennsylvania, staying there that night, and then driving the next day 9 hours to be in Tennessee the day before the eclipse.
Nice.
So
Very nice. Are you excited?
Yes, I am pumped.
Awesome. Have you looked at any weather reports yet? How's it looking?
Yeah, I mean, it looks like it won't be too cloudy, but, you know, we might have to drive a little bit.
Okay.
Maybe like 30 minutes, worst case scenario.
Yeah, that's not so bad.
But there's always a way to find it, I think.
Yeah.
So
Right
we'll
on,
make
right
it work.
It's good. Still a little early yet, so things might change, you never know.
Yeah, we still have almost a week.
Yeah. Right now
it's exactly a week.
Yeah.
Well, from today.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, by this point, yeah, it would be over 1 week from now.
Yeah,
but,
it would be over.
Yeah, looks early weather reports for here looking pretty clear, so I'm excited about that. I will be over at the Carnegie Library in Patchogue, helping them with their solar eclipse event. So if anybody is interested in joining us down there, it should be pretty cool. I'll have my telescope set up with the solar filter.
So you can safely watch it through
Yep.
the telescope. Nice.
Yep. I have my CCD camera all set up. Hopefully going to be able to basically record the whole thing and kind of project it, if you will, for the masses to see.
Nice. That's cool.
Should be cool. So, yeah, it'll be from 1 to 4 down in Patchogue. If you guys are around, definitely come check it out.
But wherever you are, you gotta watch it, right? You can't miss the eclipse.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You'd have to be doing something to miss that. Like, what's a good excuse? I don't really know.
Even if you're at work, leave work for at least 15 minutes.
Pretend you smoke cigarettes for a little bit and then go outside. All right.
Yeah, I'm wearing my Eclipse shirt, Tom.
Oh, nice.
Yep. Got this bad boy from the Eclipse Astro Box.
Yeah, you recently did that unboxing video of
Yep.
the Astro Box.
Yep. So go check that out on the YouTube channel if you haven't done so already. Yeah, tried to just do a little something different with the channel. Haven't done an unboxing before, so would love to get your feedback on that, of course.
Seems like there was a lot of cool stuff in there.
Yeah.
Overall, so it was pretty good, right?
Yeah, I was happy with the purchase, definitely. And yeah, other than that, thank you guys all for being here with us this week. This is, of course, trèSci Weekly, where Tom and I talk about trending science topic news articles that have kind of made their rounds on social media sites from the week prior.
As well as any other random things we would like to talk about that has to do with science.
Exactly.
Could be pretty much anything.
Exactly. And we invite you guys, of course, to watch the show live as we do it on Monday nights at 8:30 on the YouTube channel. If you can't watch the live channel, that's okay. Go to youtube.com, go to the search bar, type in trèSci Weekly because we still have a fancy link for it. Subscribe to us, help us grow the channel. Like the videos if you do like them. You can follow us on Twitter, twitter.com/trèSci Weekly. You can like us on Facebook at facebook.com/trèSci Weekly. And you can support us financially, Tom, if you were going to be so kind, at patreon.com. And I want to give a shout out to our newest patron, Karen Riley, who subscribed to us last night.
Nice.
So that was very nice.
Another supporter, and it all helps the dream of science.
Yep. So thank you very much. We appreciate your patronage as always.
Cool.
Tom?
And don't forget to tag us on those social media sites in any science news topics you see. So, before we get started this week, we were recently just talking. I figured might as well just get this out of the way before we go into the normal science news stories. Talking about what makes cheese so much better after you melt it. Like we were saying, if you have a couple slices of American cheese on a sandwich and you just bite into it, it's nothing compared to having melted cheese on a sandwich.
Exactly.
So, turns out it's a pretty simple explanation. When you heat the cheese up enough, you break down the milk proteins in the cheese, and that's what causes it to get all gooey. You break up sort of what's holding it together.
Interesting.
And I think it's all about the texture of your cheese that gives it the nice flavor you're looking for.
Oh, all right.
So, you don't really change it. You just kind of melt it out and make it all nice and easy to chew on.
Yeah, very cool. Liquid cheese.
That's also a thing too,
3,000 times better than solid cheese.
Very true.
They don't even make nacho cheese in solid form.
No, right?
No, it's only flowing.
It's beautiful on nachos.
Right on.
All right, so that's the cheese.
That's the cheese.
You always gotta talk about cheese.
We'll start with the cheese, and now we'll move into the science. Tom, here we go. Numero uno this week.
We're talking about dinosaurs.
Did you two dig up
Dinosaur
dinosaurs? Number one, a titanosaur, whose remains were discovered in Argentina in 2012, has been declared the largest dinosaur to walk the earth, and it's been named, Tom.
So the biggest dinosaur to ever exist.
So far.
So far.
Right? Yeah.
That we know of.
They're calling it...
What's it called?
Patagotitan majorum.
Patagotitan majorum.
So it's a new species. That's the name. And this is according to a study by Jose L. Carballido et al., published in the journal Proceedings of the Royal Society B. On the B team. I don't know if that's what that means. This massive plant-eating dinosaur stretched about 122 feet long, stood at nearly 20 feet tall at its shoulder height, and weighed in at approximately 76 tons, slightly heavier than the weight of a NASA space shuttle, Tom.
122 feet long.
Yeah.
76 tons. That is a huge dinosaur.
Large. Very large. A quote, "Although recent findings have improved our knowledge on giant titanosaur anatomy, there are still many unknown aspects about their evolution, especially for the most gigantic forms and the evolution of body mass in this clade," end quote. So, Tom, a lot of the research now that they've identified the clade and have named the species, a lot of the research looks like the big question that they're asking is, how do these dinosaurs get so large?
How do you get so big? So a part of what they mentioned in the article, as you further read it, is that what was going on at the time of these dinosaurs was flowering plants were diversifying and in the greatest numbers they've ever been. So they had almost an unlimited food supply. So then they took that to just let's grow and grow and grow and grow. And the advantage to that would be that they were so big you don't really have a predator.
Interesting.
So that's sort of what they did. They had the food available and somehow it kept going and kept growing bigger and bigger until it eventually reached this massive size.
So, yeah, I mean, that's just so baffling. Can you imagine...
To be that big.
Right? Can you imagine just if there was a creature on Earth
right
today that was that large that nothing hunted it? Like,
it was just so big.
I guess that's actually a really interesting question, though. Do you think that there is a creature large enough that humans wouldn't hunt it?
As of right now on Earth?
Or that could ever have existed? I guess
I
not.
don't think humans probably would have hunted this thing. This thing seems like it's... I don't know.
I feel like we would have found a way to kill it, though.
Probably.
That's just what humans do.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, the thing's massive. In the article, they mention it to being like an elephant and a lion, whereas like the lion is pretty like the T-Rex, but this is the elephant. So like if you've seen on planet Earth, it takes like 10 lions to try and take down an elephant.
Yeah.
Sometimes it doesn't always work just because it's so big. So I guess this was sort of the case, right? I mean, when you look at a lion and then how big a T-Rex is, I mean, how big does big have to be for you to be big compared to the T-Rex as the elephant is to the lion, right? So this thing was just massive.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I'm smirking. I'm just thinking of like 10 T-Rexes all trying to like claws bite this big huge thing, and it's not working.
I don't think the T-Rex is probably hunted together, right? Not at all. I don't think so.
Yeah,
I don't think they're pack hunters like velociraptors.
Yeah,
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
I'm not a dinosaur expert, but I don't think so.
From what I remember from Jurassic Park, at least.
I've seen that like 50 times.
I may not be a dinosaur expert, but I am a Jurassic Park expert. So this so far largest creature to ever walk the earth. Do you think that there are?
That's pretty meaningful, right? I mean, we've sort of discovered, named, and seen the biggest thing to ever walk that we know of now.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Do you think that there are still yet undiscovered larger land creatures?
Yeah, so they actually mentioned that some of the bones that they looked at appeared to be in the process of growing.
Oh, wow.
For even the largest sample that we have. So they say technically they think even this species could have been a little bit bigger than we have them down as. But I think this is almost the limit, right? I think we mentioned it a few times how the biggest animal is the blue whale that's in the ocean, and that if you tried to take a blue whale and put it on land, that the physics wouldn't really hold up because it weighs so much.
Right.
And I think that this is sort of, you're reaching that upper limit of what it means to be an animal and an organism.
Yeah.
Where it's sort of so big that it spreads its mass out enough that it can function, but I think it was so big that this thing could barely move around as it is.
Yeah.
So I think that's like almost the limit.
Interesting.
For land mammals.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense because, gravity on Earth has been fairly constant.
Yeah, it hasn't really changed.
Yeah, and that would be the limiting factor, right?
Yeah, so if we had dinosaurs on Mars, I guess technically they could have grown even bigger.
Yeah.
No evidence of that yet.
Not yet. We'll find them. No, we won't.
No, we won't. That's very doubtful.
Yeah. If you'd like to learn more about the Titanosaur, the American Museum of Natural History in New York City has a cast of the dinosaur's skeleton on display. Because like we mentioned at the top, this was discovered back in 2012, and so we've just been waiting for the researchers to dive into what they uncovered.
What they found, put it all together.
Yep. But there is a nice display there. So if you guys are interested in checking that out, I think there's actually a picture, Kyle, of what it looks like on display there. I'll bring it up as well. So you can see him with his head kind of not even able to fit in
the screen. Really.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, pretty impressive. That's one thing.
Yeah.
So big.
Moving on. Number 2. According to a recent study by G.L. West et al. And researchers at the University de Montreal. That's French Canadian for Montreal.
Oh, good job.
Playing certain video games Playing certain video games habitually may lead to reduced gray matter in the hippocampus of the brain.
That does not sound good.
No.
You want that gray matter, right?
Yeah, I guess.
I think so, right?
Gray matter, which contains most of the brain's neuronal cell bodies, is a major component of the central nervous system, and when depleted in the hippocampus, can be linked to a higher risk of brain diseases such as depression, schizophrenia, PTSD, and Alzheimer's disease. We have some images of the gray matter, what that is, basically, in the brain. So if you looked at kind of a slice of the brain, I guess kind of on the outer edge, if you will, would be
There's sort of a layer of gray matter.
Right, would be all this gray matter, and then the inner workings of the brain are what they call white matter, and I think there's other types of matter in there too. I'm not really too sure about brain designations, Tom.
And they say in the gray matter that contains most of the neuronal cell bodies, so I guess that's an important section of the brain.
Yeah. So...
And by insinuating that playing certain types of games might lower it, that's kind of scary and interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's any unimportant part of the brain.
Yeah.
But the gray matter, certainly you want it to be thriving in order to have healthy brain function.
Yeah.
So this is a study that is kind of saying that this could be not so good news, right? Quote, a subsequent randomized longitudinal training experiment demonstrated that first-person shooting games reduce gray matter within the hippocampus in participants using non-spatial memory strategies, end quote. So this result comes by way of testing what part of the brain players rely on during gameplay. According to the study, 33 participants were questioned about the strategies they used to navigate the 3D space of the game, finding that 83% of habitual gamers were more likely to depend on response learning, that is, using counting, patterning, and memorizing a series of actions to remember specific sequences along the way. This makes use of another part of the brain known as the caudate nucleus, which acts like a kind of autopilot reward system, and while stimulated makes for less usage of the hippocampus.
So this is sort of saying that if you interact with your environment in a way that relies more on memory and patterns and just following a sequence and then getting a reward from doing it over and over and over again, you can actually reduce the gray matter in your hippocampus by sort of doing a mundane task in a simple way that gives you gratification over and over and over again.
Correct.
That's sort of what's happening.
Yep.
Okay.
And so they're saying that they found that gray matter loss in people that play games relying on that section of the brain instead of the hippocampus for those kind of reward-based, just more tedious maybe action interactions in 3D space, and they were primarily associated with action first-person shooting games in the study. However, Tom,
that's not the whole story.
That's not the whole story here.
Excuse me.
Let me find where I lost my place here. Oh boy.
However, conversely.
Thank you. However, quote, conversely, participants who use hippocampus-dependent spatial strategies showed increased gray matter in the hippocampus after training. A control group that trained on 3D platform games displayed growth in either the hippocampus or the functionality connected entorhinal cortex. End quote, Tom. So, depending on how you interact with the 3D space, you may actually promote a healthy gray matter within the hippocampus. And they found that this was more likely to be associated with 3D platforming games, a la things like Super Mario, I think, were the ones cited in the paper.
Where you sort of have to just interact with your 3D environment and know exactly where you are spatially moving around, as opposed to just easily navigating from one point to another, I guess.
Correct. So now, according to West, in-game design choices such as GPS waypoints on minimaps that prod players to go in certain directions may be responsible for a player's reliance on response learning over spatial learning.
So that's when there's just always a line on the floor that tells you where to go.
Yep.
A lot of games actually do have that sort of...
A ton of games have that feature.
Where you don't know where you're going, press a button, and you go that way.
Yeah, or the map is just... There's always just a direction.
That points you where to go.
This is the way you're moving. By removing these waypoints in first-person shooter/action games, players would be forced to employ spatial strategies, such as remembering the relationship between different in-game landmarks, which could in turn increase hippocampal utility and increase gray matter. And our image credit goes to Innerlight Publishers and Wikipedia Nephron for that.
So, for example, if you're playing Overwatch and there's a soldier running down a hallway, and there's three little sections where you can see him, and you're a Hanzo, and he's running through there, and you can't see him there, but you got your sonic arrow, so you can see him through the wall. You know he's coming out. You got to lead your shot, so when he finally gets to where he's going to go, you shoot him.
Of course.
So you need to know exactly where he is, where you are, and you're actively engaged in the video game, right?
Yeah.
That sort of seems to be that kind of way where you're really in the environment. It seems to be like a way to promote healthy activity and brain function, as opposed to what we were talking about before, just going from point A to point B, following a direction to just do a simple part of a quest and then just repeat over and over and over again these sort of tasks.
Yeah. I imagine, we were talking about this before, I imagine patrolling around in Destiny is probably exactly what they're talking
When
about.
you got to grind it out, when you have to do the same strike 33 times in a row to get a gun, that's definitely not gonna help you out, right?
Yeah. So, my one thing with this study, Tom, is, I mean, you and I have played a ton of video games.
Yes.
Probably way more video games than any human being should.
Especially
However,
in the past.
yeah. However, I don't feel like my brain is not functioning as it should be, although some might say that that's the contrary. I think there's a little bit of mislabeling here when the study is sort of trying to distinguish the genre of game that is leading to decreased gray matter versus increased gray matter. Right? It's hard, I think, to
just say this game does that and this game does that.
Right?
Yeah.
First-person shooter action games, as they put it, that's a hard thing to state that this is happening, and it's all-encompassing to all of those types of games. Because I really do think that it comes down to when game developers sort of make the game too easy, almost, in a sense.
And they just sort of spoon feed it to you.
Yeah, and
you just go through it without really having to think about it.
Right. There's no real interaction with the 3D space at all.
You're in.
Right.
Yeah. As opposed to a game like Portal, if anybody's ever been familiar with that, you're sort of a robot from the future. You're not a robot, you're a person. You're trapped in like a robotic facility that has gone to the fritz in the future, and what you have to do is make your way out of it by successfully navigating in your 3D space all the cool technology to work your way around the map, which we found to be very stimulating, and you have to think a lot. It's like a puzzle, and you get a lot out of a game like that.
Yeah.
And then we were mentioning another game that might be sort of the opposite. I don't mean to call anybody out, but I know somebody who plays a lot of Candy Crush.
Yeah.
And I think that sort of game where you just sort of swipe and move things might be a little bit more in the direction where they're saying that if you keep doing something simple over and over and over again, you might get a slight decrease in gray matter from a mundane task where you're getting a reward for doing it over and over again.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but still, from person to person, from game to game, I don't think you can just blanket a statement saying that about how a person will interact with a certain game.
I agree.
And what that effect will be.
Yeah.
But still cool to think about nonetheless.
Yeah. And I think that, there's something to be said for bad fetch quests. Like they don't really
gotta waste your time.
Yeah, they don't really do anything except waste time. I agree.
It's always good to talk about games, though.
Yeah. We'll return to games in Tom's Corner, from what I understand.
Yeah, we will.
Number 3, Tom. Remember a couple weeks ago when we talked about regenerative medical procedures and how stem cell therapies were not yet to the point of universal pluripotency, Tom? For example, using skin stem cells to be reprogrammed into other stem cell types.
Yeah.
Do you remember this?
We were talking about in, what do you call it, an organization, I guess?
Yeah. A specific company that may be doing this
before this has sort of really come into the light with research,
yeah,
and claiming that they can do XYZ by taking your skin stem cells, but
and your money
and your money to hold on to it. But this sort of says that might actually be possible.
So here's the thing. A new study published in Nature Nanotechnology by researchers at the Ohio State University Wexner Medical Center may have developed an entirely different technique that achieves just that, right? Just what we were talking about. How to maybe change your
skin
cells
to become another type of cell or to do something else.
Yeah, and now I don't even think it needs to be a stem cell here, Tom.
I don't think it does either.
Yeah.
So what's important to note is that this isn't a stem cell therapy. This is a new type of research and a different technique. So we're not saying that that other organization was correct and that they were just ahead of the game. This is sort of just a different road to go down in terms of this research.
Yep.
Right?
So looking for the same outcome, but going about it in an entirely different way. So let's get into it. In the paper by Daniel Gallego Perez et al., topical tissue nano-transfection makes use of a new technology that uses a nanotech chip to deliver a specifically bioengineered cargo for cell conversion to adult skin cells in the live body, transforming them into any cell type in order to be used for repairing and restoring function to injured tissue, organs, blood vessels, or even nerve cells, Tom.
So this seems like it could be pretty crazy, right?
Right?
This is...
Yeah, so they're calling it tissue nano-transfection. That's like the name of this new technique, I guess.
Technology, yeah.
Right? And yeah, so it uses electronics, a nanotech-based chip.
Sort of like induces a signal on that part of your body or something.
You can deliver basically instructions, some cargo they're calling it, instructions to the skin cells in order to change into...
Yeah, they say transform them into...
any other type of cell that you might need, right? Tissue, organ, blood vessel, nerve cells.
That's a lot to claim to be able to do.
Yeah. So there's a video, Tom, because this is definitely quite convoluted if we're just talking about it. So we have a video courtesy of
the researchers?
Yeah, Ohio State University's Wexner Medical Center's YouTube channel, and we'll bring it up here. It does have sound, so
we'll get the old headphones in
we'll
as
get
per
the
usual.
headphones. Here's sorry.
Whoops. Thank you.
And Kyle, you let me know when to hit play there.
Only about the size of a cufflink, the device itself is small, but what it could represent is enormous. In this laboratory at the Ohio State University Wexner Medical Center, researchers demonstrate the concept. Simply place this chip on an injured part of the body and apply a small electrical current.
This process only takes less than a second and is not invasive, and then you're off. The chip does not stay with you, and the reprogramming of the cell starts.
That reprogramming turns skin cells into nearly any type of cell doctors might need to treat a patient, a breakthrough technology in regenerative medicine. For example, in a leg that is badly injured and lacks blood flow, doctors simply touch the chip to the leg and reprogram the skin cells to become functioning blood vessels.
And it will quickly shoot the DNA right into the cell.
In many cases, in 7 days, you start seeing changes. And these changes, to our pleasant surprise, persists.
Within a week, there are active blood vessels, and by the second week, the leg is saved. It's important to note that this has not yet been tested in humans, but after developing the concept, researchers were determined to test it in real life.
So we tried them on the mouse and put it on the skin. And you know what? It actually works. It affects the entire tissue, not just the surface.
In this image, you can see the mouse's leg is injured, and vascular scans show there is little blood flow. But after one touch with this chip, in just 3 weeks, the blood flow was back, and the injured leg was saved.
Our technology is not just limited to be used on the skin. It can be used on other tissues within the body or outside the body, so on and so forth. So skin is only one example.
In fact, in lab tests, it even worked in the brain, helping mice recover from strokes. In humans, this could allow doctors to grow brain cells on a person's skin under the guidance of their own immune system. They could then harvest those cells and inject them into the brain to treat conditions like Alzheimer's or Parkinson's disease. And no immune suppression drugs would be necessary, all by using a patient's own cells in a brand new way. At Ohio State Wexner Medical Center, this is Clark Powell reporting.
So there you have it,
yeah,
folks.
it seems like craziness and insanity, but
I don't know, man. This is one of those things where it's like, if it sounds too good to be true,
is it too good?
it usually
true?
is.
Yeah.
But I mean, granted, I haven't done a lot of digging around to see what other people are
saying about
this. But I read as much of the study as I could read this morning, and it's like, wow, you know, I can't believe it. This is really a thing.
Yeah.
Now, I can believe it's really a thing because it's been possible to make cells pluripotent by way of other means, right? by, you know, kind of changing the scheme of the cell virally.
Mm-hmm.
But that's super invasive, right? Like you would have to graft the skin, remove it, insert the virus, let it change the what it wants it to be, put it back in. Whole lot of things can go wrong here. And then this comes around and it's just like, well, this is actually really simple. You just kind of give yourself a little zap on the chip and you're good to go.
And then
and you're regrowing your legs. You're regrowing brain cells from your butt skin.
Yeah, that's what they were saying you could do. You could take these cells from another part of your body, change them to what you need them to be, and then put them back in the brain.
Yeah.
So that seemed to be like almost like the magic we were saying that company couldn't do.
Yeah.
And was promising that they might be able to do, but this is a different way of going about it. This had nothing to do with the stem cells.
Yeah.
So we'll see where this goes, but
We
they
absolutely
haven't
will.
done human trials, but they said in the mouse it looks promising,
Mm-hmm.
and that seems like the application could follow through to human trials.
Yeah.
Eventually, but
Reading a few other web pages about this, it seems like clinical trials in humans are on target to begin sometime next year. And yeah, I mean, this, I'm sure we will have some follow-up stories about in the future.
the success. I mean, if it's successful yet, I'm sure it'll be everywhere. Right?
Yeah. Or if
Or
it's
not,
unsuccessful for whatever reason, you know, we'll have to know about it. James Farrell in the chat says, just going to hack your skin cells real quick.
Yeah, just hop on in there, put a little patch on you, send a little electrical signal to it, reprogram you,
Yeah.
hack the planet. Yeah,
Really, really incredible.
crazy stuff. It's like the future right here.
Future now. Number 4, Tom. Survey says heavy drinking of alcohol and alcohol use disorder have risen substantially since 2001, according to a recent study by Bridget Grant et al., looking at data from 2 national surveys conducted by the National Institute on Alcohol Abuse and Alcoholism in 2001 to 2002 and 2012 to 2013. So people are drinking. People be drinking.
Yes, they are.
They be drinking, Tom. Between 2001 to 2002 and 2012 to 2013, 12-month alcohol use, high-risk drinking, and alcohol use disorder, as classified by the American Psychiatric Association's Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, 4th edition.
So yeah, we've been studying this for a little while.
They all increased, right? All 3 of those designations.
Types of drinking.
Yep. With, quote, alcohol use increasing from 65.4% to 72.7%, high-risk drinking increasing from 9.7% to 12.6%, and alcohol use disorder increasing from 8.5% to 12.7%. With few exceptions, increases in alcohol use, high-risk drinking, and alcohol use disorder between 2001 to 2002 and 2012 to 2013 were also statistically significant across socio-demographic subgroups.
So it's consistent through everybody, pretty much.
Yep. Doesn't matter. Black,
Who you
white,
really
Hispanic, Asian Pacific. Doesn't matter. Everybody's drinking. And increases in all of these outcomes were greatest among women, older adults, racial/ethnic minorities, and individuals with lower education level and family income, end quote. Tom, why is everybody drinking so much?
I guess it's legal. It's marketed well. It's easy to get into it. College.
Talk to me about college, Tom.
Some people I know drink a little bit in college. You know, I mean.
Yeah.
And then with unforeseen events to you, and before you know it, you end up in a spot that you didn't mean to be, but you know, it is what it is.
It is what it is.
At this point in time, with the laws the way they are, it's just an eventuality.
Yeah, so, yeah, I want to make the distinguishing kind of connotation here that when they say high-risk drinking, they're saying, like, that's just kind of binge drinking, like, in a single night, like, lots of volume of drinks and, you know, getting schwasty out there. And that's different from what they're talking about with alcohol use disorder, where that's like a reliance on alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
Both, of course, have risen.
Both have increased.
Yeah.
Still, yeah.
So, I mean, it's interesting that that all of the settings of alcohol use have risen. Not so surprising because, you would expect, you can see the slippery slope that you described, right? Oh, it's easy to get into drinking because it's legal and it's cheap and it's fun and no problem. And then
it's the banquet beer.
Yeah. And then it becomes then it becomes a competition almost of who can drink the most. Or at least
when everybody's out and you're amongst drinkers. Yeah.
Right. At least it did for myself and our group of friends growing up back in the college days. Not so much anymore.
How much can you drink? Yeah, I'm not a big drinker anymore these days.
Nope, me neither. And then, it can get so severe that a dependency forms from alcohol, and that's where you slip into the alcohol use disorder classification here.
And it's a difficult situation to get out of once you develop that dependency, because I know my dad personally went to a lot of AA meetings and became sober, and just being able to see a lot of other people try and go through the process, it's hard. It's not just an easy thing once you develop that dependence.
Yeah, absolutely.
It takes a lot of community work, a lot of people involved, keeping you accountable. It's tough stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Alcoholism to me is sort of really what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of antagonized, I guess, by the media and by how alcohol is portrayed and sold. In my eyes, if you are somebody who depends on alcohol to kind of help you get through your day, right? Mm-hmm. That means the rest of your day is probably depressing, right? Like you don't exist in a happy state of mind for most of the day, and then when it becomes nighttime and you want to go out and party and drink with your friends, then you're excited to go do that because that's the imagery of beer commercials and hard liquor commercials. But then really, because alcohol is a depressant, Tom, it forces you to stay in a depressant state 24 hours a day, right?
You never really get the good cycles of your ups and downs and
exactly
that kind of stuff,
right? So I think it's important for us as a culture to look at how alcohol is sold and maybe reevaluate, because going out and drinking can be a good time. I've done it plenty of times myself, and I've had fun doing it. But I feel like if you're not in the right frame of mind to
go about doing that,
and
have the right means and do it the right way.
Yeah, and how do you tell somebody no when it's legal? It's legal and it's just so accepted in our culture
to drink. Yeah,
I don't know. It's hard. It's a hard question.
Yeah, I mean, you just got to be aware of the issue, I guess, and then go from there.
Yeah.
We tried to make it illegal one time for a little while. Remember those days, the Prohibition days we all learned about?
Yeah.
But nobody stood for that.
Not here. Not in this country.
Not in our house.
No. But yeah, I mean, Prohibition in a sense, or banning of alcoholic beverages in other countries exists today. And
they still do, yeah.
I don't think it's without good reason,
Yeah, you can see the issues and the problems and everything.
So, anyways.
But yeah, I mean, I'll still drink from time to time.
From time to time, you gotta.
People have been drinking forever, right? Pretty much.
Pretty much.
When you look through, like, archaeological history and stuff, there's been fermentation and alcohol being created for a long time.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, it's, again, like...
It's been out through almost every culture. There's been some sort of drinking, right?
Don't get me wrong. I appreciate a good beer, Tom. I do. But, it's hard to look at this from the zoomed out perspective and say, well, what do we do?
Now what do we do? Yeah.
We have an issue, right?
So what do we do? Yeah.
And it's
a
increasing,
big issue,
right?
Especially in the United States.
Yeah, it is increasing. So
can't
what do we do?
It. We don't have all the answers at trèSci. We have a lot of them.
We have a lot of them. Number 5. Last week we spoke about NASA's hashtag message to Voyager and the 40-year anniversary of the spacecraft. This week we'd like to share a trailer for a documentary called The Farthest, which celebrates the Voyager mission. Kyle, if you would be so kind as to bring up the trailer,
So
as it were.
Voyager is pretty much like shooting a little bit of humanity into the void of the universe, basically.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool stuff.
Voyager. Well, we'll watch the trailer.
No spoilers.
Then we'll
please.
discuss.
Yeah, no spoilers.
Are we going? No. You ready?
Oh,
Are you ready to go? 3, 2, 1.
All of planetary exploration to me is a story about longing. It's a longing to know ourselves. It's a longing to understand the significance of our own existence.
There's never going to be another mission like it. It was the first and last of its own kind.
It's the most audacious mission. Who'd have thought that we'd actually be able to do that in 1977?
The spacecraft is quite primitive by modern day standards. Their total memory is about 240,000 times less than in your smartphone.
They figured, don't let this opportunity pass. You're going to throw a message in a bottle into the ocean, put a message in it.
The golden record really is the heartbeat of the ship itself.
The greetings to the universe are almost like the first tweets. Keep it short, keep it simple.
Hello from the children of planet Earth.
And we have liftoff.
They're traveling at 10 miles per second. You wouldn't even see it, right? And yet, it takes decades to get out there into the outer solar system.
Voyager to me was Homeric. Years of passing across the solar system from one planet to the other, and then it was frenzied activity and discovery and conquest.
4 billion years from now, when our sun turns into a red giant, Voyager is still going to be trucking out there through the stars. We'll still be out there.
This may, in the long run, be the only evidence that we ever existed.
Those cosmic questions we hope to learn by sending our machines out. Where do we come from? Are we alone? What's the universe made of? How will it end?
Now, is that a grand mystery? Whoa.
I'd like to know the answer. Are we alone? I'd like to know the answer to that question.
Me too. Tom, what do you think?
Yeah, Voyager is pretty cool because, like I was saying, it has the little golden record on it where we try to put out what we as humanity are in a simplest sort of fashion, just put it out there to be broadcast into the universe. And like the video said, it's traveling, what they say, like 10 miles a second.
Yeah.
And that's so fast, but it takes decades to even reach the edge of our solar system.
Yeah.
So it takes so long relative to a human's life scale for that stuff to really get anywhere, but it's cool nonetheless that it's out there and it's always being sent out there, a record of what we are on this planet.
Yeah.
It's kind of a cool notion.
It is. That's the interesting thing about it, is that Voyager is the only man-made object to leave the solar system ever.
That's it.
And eventually, the solar system, if we don't ever leave it,
that's the only thing that's going to be out there.
That's
right?
Our legacy, right? That is the one
out there. And like we said, it took from 1977 all the way up until now, many decades later, to get out there.
Yeah.
So you can't just send something out there to catch up to it, right?
Yeah.
Until we.
It's the one relic of humanity, the one relic of our civilization that will exist for for longer than we will here in this portion of the universe. What an interesting concept, right?
Yeah, maybe there'll be a future video game made from another planet and another life form about the Voyager spacecraft in a Portal-like fashion.
That would be cool. Yeah, like
you never know.
I mean, the odds are nobody ever discovers the
This,
Voyager spacecraft.
Most likely,
Yeah, outside of you know, I mean, first there's a lot of ifs hanging on that one. Like, there would have to be life. There would have to be intelligent life. There would have to be a means
in
of
the right place of finding it, and slim to none, but it's out there.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly. So, very cool. If you're interested, the documentary is currently playing at select theaters throughout August and September. I have an image to show you what theaters are available for the Farthest. Closest one to us, Tom, is Cinema Village in New York City.
So it's very select.
Very select. And that would be playing actually right now until the 18th. So go get your tickets if you're interested in checking that out.
And like we were saying, hopefully sooner or later it's like able to be seen at the museums or somewhere online that you can find it.
Yeah, somewhere on demand. Because I would definitely love to check that out. Tom, that's all the news that I have for this week.
All right, I got one more story for Tom's Corner that I was following that's pretty interesting.
Right on.
I first saw about it from a tweet from Elon Musk about OpenAI beating a Dota 2 professional player in a game.
Okay.
So, what does that mean? What is Dota 2? What is happening?
So, OpenAI.
Yeah, so OpenAI is a
kind of like a research project.
Yeah, like a networked research project of just developing the best OpenAI system out there, right?
Right.
That's like its goal.
And is this is one of Elon Musk's many
projects,
ventures and projects? Okay.
He's I guess, I don't know, in
I
charge
don't know.
of OpenAI. I'm not sure. I think he is.
Yeah.
But so I first saw from his tweet, and then I was reading up on about it. And what they're basically trying to do is, in the past, we've tried to have computer programmers be able to master games such as chess, right? You wanted to have the artificial intelligence or the computer be able to interact with the game in a meaningful way and actually beat a person who's an expert at the game. So allowing it to know all the moves.
Correct.
But what's really cool about this one is that it's not like chess, where you have the time and only one sort of move happens and then it's your opponent's turn, where in this game, it's called Dota 2. I think it stands for like Dying of the Ancients or something.
I think it's
Defense of the Ancients. Okay. So what the game is it's 5-on-5 and you have a hero, like you have a person you can be with certain abilities. I actually have never played Dota, and I don't know too much about it.
No, me neither.
So I'm trying to explain it simply because I don't really know it all that well. I'm sure some of our viewers will know it who have actually played the game.
Yeah.
You can watch video games on Twitch all the time, so you could actually watch it. But from what I'm aware of, there's like 130 heroes you can pick from. They all have abilities. And what the game is it's 5-on-5, and in your base you have your ancient relic that you were protecting, and then you need to go and get the other base's ancient relic without them getting yours.
Gotcha.
And I think there's like minions all throughout the map. You sort of level up, and it's a real-time moving strategy game where you're interacting with your environment each second, and every action has a reaction that causes a reaction, and it's sort of like a flowing game,
right,
as opposed to chess. So this is a way harder thing to have AI code for.
So it's more or less like nerdy basketball.
Yeah.
In a sense.
In a sense, like 5-on-5, super nerdy basketball with a lot of abilities.
Yeah,
That's a good way to explain it. So they actually didn't get to the point of encoding AI for the 5v5 game type yet. That's actually even more complicated, and they're not there yet. But what they did is they had the AI 1v1 a Dota professional, so someone who makes money off the game. And in these events, there's sometimes like $30 million up for grabs. So it's kind of a big deal. These people, this is their livelihood. Their career is actually playing these games.
Yeah.
So these people make a lot of money. They're really good at these games. And it turned out that the AI ended up beating the professional player in this 1v1 simulation.
Wow.
And how did it do it? That's the coolest part. So what they said was that it self-learned. That it pretty much played against itself until it could beat itself and then keep playing against itself and sort of ladder up against itself and that's how it learned the game. It had no idea what the game was in the first place, but it kept sort of playing itself, and then seeing that this leads to that to beat it, and then learning what to do when something happens many, 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 many times, and it learned to play the Dota 2 game enough to beat a human professional player.
Wow.
Just by learning from itself.
That's terrifying.
It is kind of terrifying,
In a
right?
sense. I mean, it's really cool, but like, wow. I mean, imagine just starting from nothing
and then just teaching yourself by playing. It's
Yeah.
pretty much a human thing almost.
Yeah.
That we've sort of encoded in AI.
And it's gotten so good at doing that it beats people that do this as their job, right? For money.
And in this amazing real-time environment.
Wow.
So it's kind of a big step for computing. Elon Musk was proud of it. And what their goal is next is to have 5v5 AI against people. And then they would love to have the AI be able to actually beat a professional team in a real game. So as opposed to just dribbling 1v1ing LeBron James, now you have to play him in the Cavs in a real game.
Wow.
That's their next goal. And then they want people and AI against other people and AI, and they want to see if they could make even better teams than just AI or just people, and sort of see where this AI network learns and what sort of happens. And it's a cool way for this to be developed. This may seem like a lot of work just to get AI good at a video game, but they're learning a lot about just how AI learns, how it can be adaptive, and they're just learning a lot about just making AI better and how it learns from itself. It's just a really good platform that they saw to invest in this game that's extremely complicated. As researchers looked into the game of chess encoding back in the past and said that if we can computer code for chess and make it win, this would be a feat of computing and coding.
Yeah.
And this is sort of the next step in the games, and we're just getting better with our AI. So pretty cool stuff.
Pretty cool. I have a question for you.
Sure. I don't know if I have the answer, but
so Dota 2, one of the few very successful competitive video games, right?
Yeah, this has a competitive scene each year of millions of dollars up for grabs for the best players.
Right. And so now we're seeing teams of 5 people versus teams of 5 people. Winner, I'm sure there's tournaments, and the winners keep climbing a tournament ladder, and then they win all, the winnings, the earnings. Do you think that, right, because I don't have a lot of faith in esports growing to become a super mainstream
like
sport.
A league, yeah.
Right, like the
same way you'd follow Major League Baseball.
Exactly.
Right? I don't see it coming that either, but
because it's so complicated to watch what people are doing on the screen if you don't already
really
know
make
the
sense.
game.
Yeah.
Right. So my question is, do you think that a new wave of people might be interested in competitive esports Dota if the teams start integrating AI computers, right? What if it becomes now a team of 4 and an AI computer that a team behind
has
made, right? And the money goes into generating an AI that pushes the player's abilities above and beyond what they used to be.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I could sort of see that being a reason to follow it, but I'm not sure enough to make it popular enough still.
Yeah.
Adding that sort of, as cool as it is to develop new AI and be astounded and amazed by what these computing things can do, I don't see that enough to sort of follow the game in a competitive sense. Because even you and I, who play tons of video games that are competitive, all different kinds of games, when I try to turn this one on, it's just too different and something that I'm not looking to learn and get into right now.
I mean, we're not
as
nerds,
cool as that.
So.
as cool as that is, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but
I guess what I'm trying.
It's a cool project.
Yeah.
I'm interested in following and seeing what they're doing with the follow-ups of this.
Yeah. What I'm trying to get at, I guess, in not so many words, would be would there be interest in having a pit crew like there is for racing, right? You have your team of people that behind the race car driver,
who make the car and make it all work.
Exactly. And that's one of the grander appeals of NASCAR is like, well, they have a really
best
good
crew and the
pit
best
crew.
stuff.
Yeah.
I can see that.
I'm just throwing that out there. I don't know.
Cool stuff.
Yeah, definitely cool stuff. Definitely interesting. So,
yeah, I mean,
any timetable?
AI that can learn from itself, like timetables for going to 5v5 and beyond. Yeah. I don't know, but I'm sure they're just moving forward with it as they can.
Cool.
And I'm sure by the time next year there's like the big annual event, they'll try and keep going with it.
Yeah.
And what's cool about this is that these type of games aren't, can you put your cursor on somebody's head and click on it faster or better or more precise? This is really true strategy, reacting, like just
you're definitely not losing gray matter of the brain playing this game.
These games require you to be all there and in the moment to actually be successful at maneuvering around and winning these games.
Yeah.
So a lot goes into it.
And the thing is, Dota 2 looks like it's here to stay forever, right? If these companies are developing
investing in it and
AI computers based off of how the game is played,
that's only going to increase its longevity.
Exactly.
And there already are tournaments every year for it, and it's been around since like 2007 or earlier. I don't know.
I think you're right. Yeah,
something like that.
So that's crazy. Buy stock in Blizzard.
Yeah, right. They got plenty of good games out there.
Or no, this is Valve actually. Sorry.
Yeah, not Blizzard.
Not Blizzard, but buy stock in Blizzard too, because they're not going anywhere either.
But yeah, a lot about video games today, about a lot of different things, and I didn't think we'd actually be talking that much about them, but I love it.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll have it more in the future.
Right on. Well, thank you guys for joining us this week. We really appreciate you being here with us. Remember, if you haven't done so yet, please subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed what you watched here. That'll give you the email alert for when we go live next week. We hope to see you guys next week. And yeah, have a great
don't forget to tag us and things. Have a good week.
Yeah.
Don't forget to watch the eclipse next Monday.
Don't forget your eclipse glasses.
Do it safely.
Yeah. We'll see you guys then.